It is 7:30 on the dot on your Friday morning. Local jail outbreaks have activists concerned about their treatment during a pandemic. Local leaders are also showing their support for a lawsuit that would overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. Earlier this week, we told you about the first woman to step foot on the moon that could come from the inland Northwest.
I'm either going to walk on the moon or one of my friends is going to walk on the moon.
We sat down with two inland Northwest women who could make history.
And we've got a little bit of snow starting to come down across parts of the inland Northwest. I'm going to let you know how long it takes to make this a winter wonderland.
Up with KREM begins now.
For the first time in 20 years, Manitou Park will not have a holiday light show at the Geiger Observatory. Now, to keep this tradition alive, though, the park is putting a drive-through event on, and starting tonight at 4:30, you can enjoy nearly a half mile of lights for yourself. This is a first, so they are asking everyone to be a little bit patient as they work out any kinks. There are no donation boxes like normal, so you are asked to potentially still donate to the event by going to the Friends of Manitou website. Every time, Jeremy, I see these lights, I just think of being a little kid, loving sitting in the back of the car, driving down the street. This is great.
Yeah, looking out, you can hardly see over the side of the car, and you're like, wow, wow. Driving by Clark Griswold's house, and then, now into Manitou Park. But Joshua, earlier I said I was going to look it up. I said, ooh, it'd be really fun to run through or walk through.
Right.
It's actually gated off on either end, and it's basically just to make sure that they don't have a bunch of people gathering in there breathing on each other. So
that makes sense.
You can only drive.
There you go. All right. Well, if people are headed out there tonight for the first night, what's the forecast going to look like for them?
We should have some snow on the ground. That's the good news. Right now, I'm not seeing too much of it, especially as you make your way over into Coeur d'Alene, but we will see that snow work its way in here in the next couple of hours. We're already starting to see it fall here in Spokane. Not much just yet, but I'm telling you, snow is on the way. We have a winter weather advisory in place for 1 to 2 inches of snow. Locally, could see a couple spots get up to 3 inches by the time it all comes to an end. On the radar, you can see that snow is kind of starting to work its way up. Interstate 90 kind of move its way in, and there it comes. We're starting to see it fall a little bit heavier, and we'll continue to see that be the trend as we move into the middle part of the day. I think the biggest snowfall or the most snowfall or the best snowfall rates will be right in the middle of the day. Starts tapering off as you get ready for that evening commute, but by then the damage is done, and the evening commute suffers even more than the morning commute. So if you're trying to plan for it, know that this morning will be a bit slower, but this afternoon is when you're really going to have to allow some extra time and just take it slow on those roads. But with a look at what we are currently seeing right now, Brandon T. Jones. How you doing, man?
Jeremy, we've got some dust on the ground this morning, but that's about it so far. I'm out here on the South Hill. I'll just show you what it's looking like at the current moment. Get behind the camera. And you don't really see too much out here on the main roads. This is Boulevard, and it doesn't look too bad. You can see more of it a little bit on the sidewalk, so you can see the difference a little bit, but for the most part, things are looking really good out here. Just make sure when you're out here on the road that you're going slow, not speeding or going too fast, because there are certain areas that will be a little bit slicker than others. I hadn't seen any really just bad areas for the most part, and Jeremy was mentioning that you shouldn't have too much of bad conditions as you're headed out to your jobs this Friday morning. So just stay safe out there on the roads and stay alert, guys.
We're going to keep checking in with Brandon throughout the morning to see how those conditions develop. Happening today at 7:34 this morning, we are learning that the chairlift that fell at 49 degrees north is now back in operation. An investigation by the resort found a missing pin caused the chair to detach from the line. That chair has been closed since the incident when 2 people were on the chair when it fell and suffered minor injuries. A spokesperson from the resort says every chair on the line has been inspected and no other problems were found. Over 100 COVID cases have been linked to a wedding in Ritzville. The Grant County Health Department is calling it a super spreader event. Health officials say it led to at least 2 outbreaks at long-term facilities. And according to the health department, facility employees attended the wedding and then worked while infected without realizing they were ill. 15 residents at LTC and 8 residents at Columbia Crest Center have died since the outbreaks. Health officials say they cannot connect them all to the infected staff members, but the deaths occurred after 300 people attended the event. Number 2, a co-founder and publisher of Spokane Coeur d'Alene Living magazine has died after a battle with COVID-19. Emily Bozzi's colleagues say she was a pillar of Bozzi Media in the Spokane community for more than 20 years. We have also learned that Emily's husband, Vincent, is currently hospitalized with COVID-19. The magazine shared the news of Bozzi's passing on Facebook, saying she was proud to create a space that honored the many stories from Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, as well as the many businesses who became her clients. Lastly, Idaho will stay in stage 2 of statewide restrictions, but a statewide mask mandate will not be put in place.
That's state law. It actually has been for 100 years in Idaho. Originally it was the counties. In the last 50 years, it's been the health districts.
Governor Brad Little added that COVID-19 was the #1 cause of death in Idaho in November. He also announced that extensions to coronavirus restrictions are in place and even said the virus is putting a heavy strain on the state's healthcare system. Meanwhile, 2 U.S. congressional members from Washington, as well as 2 Idaho members, are in support of a Texas lawsuit that could overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. Representatives Kathy McMorris Rogers and Dan Newhouse, along with Idaho Representatives Russ Fulcher and Mike Simpson, have all signed an amicus brief in support of the lawsuit. Governor Brad Little of Idaho has also announced he too supports the lawsuit, and it claims that states enacted last-minute changes, skewing the results of the 2020 general election. And on Capitol Hill, the Senate's top Republican says he will not support a $908 billion coronavirus relief bill, effectively killing the bipartisan effort for now. Senator Mitch McConnell calls funding in the bill for state and local governments, quote, controversial state bailouts. And he said that some of his Republican colleagues will not support it. McConnell also wants liability protection for businesses facing potential COVID lawsuits, something that Democrats have objected to. NASA has announced this week that not 1, but 2 astronauts from the Northwest are joining a team that's leading exploration to the moon, to Mars, and beyond. And one of them could become the first woman to walk on the moon. We are so excited. We literally been talking about this for days straight, as we are expecting to talk with astronaut and Gonzaga Prep alum Anne McLean later today. Now, earlier this week, she said that she is thrilled either herself or one of her friends could make history.
I'm either going to walk on the moon or one of my friends is going to walk on the moon. And both of those scenarios are beyond my wildest dreams when I was a kid.
Our own Mark Hanrahan also spoke with Kayla Barron. She's from Richland, Washington, and grew up in parts of southern Idaho as well. You can look for that interview tonight on KREM 2 News. But let's look at NASA's new team, which is made up of 18 astronauts ranging in age from 32 to 55. And they're made up of flight test pilots, geologists, a former Navy SEAL, and a number of other backgrounds. Now, half of them have never been to space, and half of the astronauts are women. Astronaut Nicole Mann is currently training to fly Boeing's Starliner spaceship to the International Space Station next year. Now the moon is on her horizon too.
Would it be important to you to be the first woman to land on the moon?
You know, I would love to be the first woman to walk on the moon, but in reality, it's the bigger mission that's more important. It's important that we get there as Americans, that we get there as a human race.
And to get there, NASA is developing a new mega rocket and crew capsule. It's called Orion. But Congress has not yet fully funded the Trump administration's 2024 landing goal. And then the incoming Biden administration has to agree with these excited ARTEMIS astronauts as well that the moon mission is important. But if the goal here was to create some moon excitement, I think we can all agree, mission accomplished.
Yeah, moon excitement for sure, but if you're excited about winter and snow, I've got good news. We have snow in the forecast. We're getting it today. I'm going to let you know how it impacts your commute and when you can expect more.
And KREM received an outpouring of support for a woman who lost her daughter tragically and was then scammed out of a Newfoundland puppy. This morning we have a wonderful news update to share with you. After we saw so many generous offers to gift a puppy to Jeannie, a couple from 9 Mile Falls breeds Newfoundland puppies, and they actually had one looking for a home.
I'm overwhelmed by the kindness of strangers and so grateful, very grateful.
And to have something like that, especially after you lose your daughter, I mean, that's unbelievable. So anything to be able to help out, I mean, just bring the community together and help out and let people know that there's good people out there too. I think that's important.
It has been a difficult year for Jeannie. When she told us her story, she hoped it would prevent others from falling victim to a puppy scam, and she did expect criticism. But instead, she received plenty of kindness from complete strangers. Coming up this morning, we'll share that entire story with you.